Hello there, it's a Tuesday, which means it's time for another in real life video. It's also September now, which means finally can more freely start wearing lighter weight jackets, and of course I'm going to seize that opportunity. Anyway, this week we are covering another question submitted by a gentle viewer just like you. As per usual, you can feel free to submit your own if you wish. Helps if when you leave a comment with the question that it includes a question mark. It'll get added to our ever-growing list of questions. Anyway, this week's was submitted by a gentle viewer whose username should be somewhere in the bottom third of the screen right about now. And they asked, who is your favorite follower in each Fallout game? Which is, I don't know, kind of a wild question, considering I haven't played every Fallout game. And also, I guess not every Fallout game has followers in the same sense, right? So because of that, we'll just talk about Fallout 1 through 4 and New Vegas, because they have, like, the most, I don't know, contemporary meaning behind follower present in their games, right? They all have somewhat similar versions of what a follower can and cannot be. But like I said, I haven't played every single Fallout game. There are ones that do not have followers, like obviously Fallout Shelter. You don't really have a character that you play as. You play as the Vault, right? Effectively. You play as like the Overseer, as it were. You don't really have a follower. In Fallout 76, you don't have followers in like the traditional Fallout sense. Instead, you have allies that you can have at camp, and they'll provide a service or whatever, and you can kind of swap them out at will. But yeah, we'll go with those ones. So, I got a list here, just in case I forget, but starting from the top, with Fallout 1, probably Ian, I guess. There's not really many followers in Fallout 1, right? And those that are present certainly do not have very much in the way of, like, writing, because it is such an older game. We hadn't yet had, like, a very fleshed out follower system. It wasn't even really quite known, I guess, at the time that a lot of players would sort of glom onto a system like that. Or that it could be used so effectively as like a world building device, right? A mechanism to deliver more world building, more story and stuff like that. More insights into the way in which the world functions. So probably Ian, who is like the first follower that you find in the game. You pay them, I think, 100 caps or something like that. And then they'll join up with you. And they can go until the end of the game. Kind of sucks managing their inventory because you do have to like pickpocket them, I believe, right? Or at the very least, it's faster to pickpocket them to give them stuff. And in my playthrough, Ian died fairly early on. The followers in Fallout 1 and 2 are extremely mortal. They're extremely mortal and extremely killable. And I don't know, I didn't feel too broken up over the loss of Ian, because like I said, Ian just didn't have that much going on. Ian wasn't contributing too much after like the first few encounters with like rad scorpions and stuff in a nearby cave. But otherwise, I do remember something funny that I guess elevates Ian above the mercenary guy, Tycho, who by the way, I learned recently, like a couple weeks ago, I was looking at the wiki or whatever, that Tycho from Fallout 1, his like inspect or like examine or whatever it is in Fallout, that description that the game provides was actually the basis of the NCR Ranger armor. I think it was something to do with like, the dusty, like, cowboy like trench coat, and then with sort of like a breathing apparatus, and that was the basis of what they used to devise how the NCR Ranger outfits should look, which are now like, I don't know, probably the most iconic non-power armor in all of Fallout, I would argue. Well, I guess aside from the Vault suit, right? Aside from the Vault suit. But probably Ian. I think there's like 1 or 2 more followers in there. There's definitely a Dogmeat as well. I was tempted to put Dogmeat in there because I remember some silly shenanigans with Dogmeat, like killing themselves and stuff. But I don't know. I guess Ian or Dogmeat, who I don't even know. Did Dogmeat in Fallout 1 even have the name of Dogmeat yet? Or is it's just retroactively presumed that was Dogmeat? I think that's the case. But Fallout 1 can take him or leave him. The Fallout system, or the Fallout system, the follower system in Fallout 1, like I said, it just isn't that fleshed out. It's not like terribly fascinating or interesting. In Fallout 2, although Fallout 2 came out shortly after the first game, especially relative to how quickly Fallout games come out these days, Fallout 2 does actually flesh out a lot of its followers, and they do have sort of a lot of takes and voice acting at times, and more ideas, more insights into the world around them and stuff like that. I really enjoyed Vic, who was like this miserable, like middle-aged man who I thought was he was always like complaining about most things. There was also what's his name? Cassidy, who also has like the heart problem. If you give him the wrong things, he can have a heart attack and die, which is pretty incredible, I would say. There's the horrible teenage child that I believe I killed in Fallout 1. He's so reprehensible. He's horrible. He's so bad. He could be fun in kind of an ironic way. I don't know. There's a lot of pretty fun followers in Fallout 2, right? They're not half bad. But probably my favorite from my first and only playthrough of the game is not even technically a follower in the traditional sense, in that they help at all. If anything, they hurt you a lot. They hurt you really badly. My favorite follower in Fallout 2 is that damn bad luck dog, which in my Fallout 2 playthrough, I rolled a character with very low luck. I think just 1 luck. And that was sort of to be like antithetical to my Fallout 1 playthrough, wherein I played a character with really high luck. I was like, I'll play a build that doesn't rely so much on getting crits or whatever, right? And lo and behold, not only are there random events that you can find and encounters and whatnot that you can have with high luck, but so too are there ones that you can have with low luck. And thus I had an encounter where I got this damn bad luck dog, which I don't think is meant to be dog meat, but maybe. I can't remember. But either way, it's really horrible. It causes terrible things to happen to you just from being nearby. You're more likely to miss, I think. It gets in the way a whole lot. It debuffs your stats. I think it debuffs your luck even more or something like that. I can't even remember. But it hurts your character to even have it around. It has a ton of health that regularly regenerates. So if you try to kill it, it takes a bunch of your ammunition to kill. I chose to keep it with me. I just let it stay with me for probably 90% of my playthrough. This damn bad luck dog just kept following me. I think it uses up a companion slot too. You can have multiple companions in Fallout 2, and it scales with your charisma stat. And I was a character with a moderate amount of charisma, so I would have been able to have 2 followers with me. But by the time I'd found a second follower, I already had the bad luck dog in my party counting against me. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was funny just walking around with the bad luck dog, seeing whenever we got bad rolls, I would just blame it on the dog. I would see it walk through laser doors, like hurting itself. It would get shot at, and like a few hours from then it would be fine, right? It did eventually die in the playthrough, but it stayed with my character for the longest time, especially considering I didn't really care for it at all. I didn't like try and keep it alive. I didn't actively try to preserve its life because I was like, well, if it dies, it dies. I won't go out of my way to kill it, but nor will I go out of my way to keep this damn bad luck dog alive. If it dies, I will weep for the bad luck dog, but I cannot bring myself to kill it myself. And it made for a really fun experience, right? It completely screwed me up so badly. I loved it. So we move on to Fallout 3. And Fallout 3 is probably the game in which I have the least amount of experience with its followers, its potential pool of followers. I've really only ever had a limited amount of time with Dogmeat in Fallout 3, a ton of time with Fox, and a ton of time with RL, whatever their name is, the gutsy robot that you can get if you're a neutral character. And a little bit of time with Star Paladin Cross. Or Starcross Paladin? Whatever their name is, I forget. But obviously not as much time with them because I can't even remember their name correctly. But it's gotta be said, my favorite Fallout 3 follower is probably the current one in the playthrough. Jericho is amazing. Fox is okay. He's voiced by the esteemed Wes Johnson, I believe. It's fun here. I remember it being fun hearing his like battle screams and stuff. He just yells bloody murder. It's kind of amazing. But he's too good. He's too good. He deals so much damage because his default weapon is like a laser minigun, I think it was. And because of who he is, without trying to spoil anything, because of who he is, he's so hard to kill, right? He's just too good. I played Fallout 3 after the fact, after the sort of pre-Broken Steel ending debacle, so I don't really have any hang-ups about Fox in that regard. But I don't know, he's too good. He's just too effective. And the robot, I did do like a neutral karma playthrough before. Like I said in our current playthrough, I played through it like 3 or 4 times. It's probably my single most played through Fallout game, because it's the one that got me into the franchise, and thus it is the one that I've had like for the longest time experience with. And the robot, like I said, the robot is mostly uninteresting, I think. It's fun when it yells out its like jingoistic catchphrases and stuff. That's enjoyable, but it's nothing compared to Jericho. Jericho is such a miserable bastard. He's so cool. I love him so much. He's such a horrible dude. I mean, he's not even that horrible, but he's so miserable, right? He's kind of a bastard in that, like, he'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm gonna kill you, or whatever the fuck. But he's so fun because he's just like the personification of misery, right? He's so suffering. He's like nonstop smoking cigarettes and like coughing up his own fucking lungs. He's incredible. I love Jericho. Jericho is so good. As far as like non-serious comic relief characters go in Fallout, Jericho might actually be my favorite, right? Because he's so miserable, because he's such a miserable guy. He's incredible. He's amazing. Whenever like his voice acting and delivery is so good, whenever like, you get into combat and he starts just yelling at people and stuff, it's dope. It's so cool. It's so good. That's my favorite for Fallout 3. Like I said, I haven't had a lot of experience with other followers in Fallout 3. I never had Butch as a follower. I know he can be one if you're a neutral karma, but I think I accidentally got him killed when I played. So when I played a neutral build or a neutral run. I know Sharon, probably Charon, the, sort of play on the mythological being, but at Underworld is another follower who I have little experience with. There's another evil karma one. Like I said, the other ones I don't really have much experience with. Hopefully we'll get some experience with them in our playthrough. But I don't know. Good luck beating out Jericho. All right. So, sort of, I don't know, the antithesis of Jericho, that being Jericho being like a funny comedic relief sort of character, who's just all vibes. We move on to New Vegas followers, who are sort of, they have vibes, but more so I would weigh them with regards to like their importance in the world and the story, right? Because, man, if any followers in a game could help you deliver more and more world building and more narrative and help flesh out the world, add additional perspective, it's probably got to be your cast of followers in New Vegas, right? They're amazing for it. There are so many amazing ones that are so great at doing that. There's a few that are a bit weaker, like Grandma Lily, I think, is a lot more played for laughs. There's some serious stuff going on with Grandma Lily as well, but it takes not a huge focus. It's cool how you do it, and it's probably, I don't know, it's the best way you could play a character like that, you know, given the nature of that character. I don't know. Grandma Lily, she's okay. Rex the dog is okay as well. It's probably like one of the better ways in which you could handle an animal companion, because you get some degree of player agency with how they behave in their personal quest and whatnot. But I guess you could say the same is true of other followers and whatnot, right? But certainly they're not quite up to snuff for characters like Boone, Rose of Sharon Cassidy, the daughter of Cassidy from Fallout 2. I think presumed, or no, confirmed. Yeah, confirmed. The game 100% confirms it. As well, Veronica, right? There's such a great slew, such a great cast. Even Raul, who seems somewhat disconnected from the main storyline, has really good insight into sort of other portions of the world and whatnot, right? But purely on the basis of sort of connectivity with the game world and whatnot, I mean, it's got to go to Arcade Gannon, right? As far as vibes go, Arcade Gannon isn't necessarily like the type of follower that I want to just have come around with me, right? Like, Arcade Gannon isn't the type of dude who's out there kicking butt and like spouting off like amazing one-liners. He's kind of a dweeb, right? But what's enjoyable about him is the ways in which he is directly connected to the world, without sort of spoiling anything too much about his character. But he's quite well connected to a lot of the main story and all of that. And even not knowing how he is connected to it in that way, him just being a sort of agent of the followers of the apocalypse is great and amazing in and of itself, because there's such a, for me at least, there's such a fun faction. There's such a great faction within that world, especially given who is a member of the followers of the apocalypse and who used to be a member. I find that incredibly compelling. If we look outside of the main game, so like limited time followers and stuff that frequently show up in New Vegas's DLC, I really enjoyed Christine and Dean Domino in Dead Money. I think Dead Money got a bad rap, but I feel like people are starting to change their minds about Dead Money actually being, narratively speaking, like pretty dang good. And I would agree entirely. When I first played it on this channel, I hadn't played any of the New Vegas DLC until I was recording videos and stuff, because I didn't own the Ultimate or Game of the Year or whatever edition that includes it. But yeah, I really enjoyed those two as part of Dead Money. I believe Joshua Graham is also technically a follower at times, depending on how you play Honest Hearts. And he is very likely like probably the best part of that DLC of Honest Hearts. He's such a compelling character, such a screwed up character, right? Very Fallout. Really cool stuff, right? But yeah, as far as the base game, it's got to be Arcade Gannon, easily. He has such a interesting background and whatnot, right? Like the ways in which he connects to everything, the occasional inputs that he has, his sort of like convictions. A lot of the followers in New Vegas, well, I don't know about a lot of them, but at least some of the followers in New Vegas have convictions where if you behave in a certain way, side with certain factions, they won't like you. Arcade Gannon is no different, and also sort of, I think, takes a bit to recruit, if I remember correctly, right? But also his personal mission is his personal quest is very good. And meeting those people is cool, without spoiling anything. So we move on to Fallout 4, which, it's hard not to say Nick Valentine, right? Because, I mean, there's just unquestionably some amount of favoritism going on with regards to Nick Valentine just having the most amount of writing, the most exposition, compared to any follower. There's even an expansion that is heavily or could heavily involve Nick Valentine. Thus, like I said, it's very difficult to say otherwise because he's just got so much going on. It's not unlike how I will frequently say, oh, my favorite Elder Scrolls race to play is always Dunmer, because they just have so much, right? They have so much written about them. They have so much background lore and whatnot. It's kind of an unfair comparison if that's your metric of judgment, which for me, that is. And also, I've got a penchant for Morrowind itself. But yeah, Nick Valentine, he's got so much going on. It's difficult to say anyone else but him. But if I had to say, excluding Nick Valentine, I quite like a lot of the more goodly characters. I think a lot of them are very enjoyable in their own way. I don't get the hate for Preston Garvey. I think Preston Garvey's all right. I think it's just a silly joke, right? His whole, like, another settlement needs your help or whatever shtick. I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? As someone who has hundreds of hours in Fallout 4, it doesn't faze me. I don't even get it. It doesn't even happen to me that often whenever I play. But it's gotta be, barring Nick Valentine, barring him, it's gotta be Dance. It's got to be Dance because of his entire situation, right? Because of his entire situation. I mean, without spoiling anything, I can't really say anything other than that. But because of his whole situation, it's got to be Dance. That whole situation, there's a moment there where in the core game, barring any expansions, that might be narratively one of the more effective moments in Fallout 4 when that whole situation occurs. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It brings a lot of stuff into question. It makes you think in a way, or at the very least, it makes you think about what type of character am I playing? How would my character think about this? And it's fantastic. As far as followers that exist only in DLC for Fallout 4, I don't know. I don't really care for any of them. Porter Gage, Ada, Old Longfellow, they're okay, I guess, right? I never really liked any of them much more than the slew of characters that were in the original cast. I feel like they had nothing on them. Yeah. So I think that I'll do it. Oh, a character that I didn't really like in the core game, I guess, would be, what's his name? The Courser, right? I didn't really care for him. I thought he was a little two-dimensional. There wasn't anything interesting going on. It's like, yeah, this character is what they are. There was very little in the way of depth. It felt a little undercooked, I would say, and maybe justifiably if you're running on a timetable to get your game out the door. A character going that route that would have that character as a follower, there's probably very few people playing the game who would have that character unlocked as a follower, right? Especially their first time through. It seems unlikely. So that's probably a safe bet if you have to cut corners somewhere in order to push your product out the door, which I think is sort of a reality that a lot of folks are hesitant to sort of acknowledge, right? Not every game has the sort of luxury of not answering to earnings calls or keeping people paid or meeting deadlines, right? You can always have the extended early access period, which is a wonderful luxury to have, but not everything gets that. But that ought to do it, right? That ought to do it. Favorite Fallout followers until Fallout 5, 10 years from now, I guess, probably a little under 10 years, I would say, right? Unless they pull a miracle, but I'm still kind of counting on their 5-year cycle. But yeah, a bunch of good ones. Jericho really got to be the best vibes-based one. And as far as world building, it's probably Arcade Ganon, right? It's probably Arcade Ganon. Got to be. Anyway, that ought to do it. Like I always say, feel free to add another question in the comments below. Helps if you have a question mark for me to find it. And that ought to do it. Until next time, please take care of each other.